Champions are not born. They're forged. This is about turning the ordinary into undisputed. Available now. Ade Oladipo, brought to you by Undisputed.
Morning peeps, good morning everyone. How's everyone doing? Hopefully you guys are all doing well. Don't forget, if you're new to the channel, like, share, subscribe. We're brought to you by Undisputed. The new takeover pack is available to download right now. Just go to playundisputed.com. Some big name fighters now included in the game as well. Teofimo Lopez, Mr. Takeover, Sebastian Fundora, the late great Diego Corrales, Yanibek Alam Kanali, who said he's got an announcement to make as well, by the way. Hopefully it's the Carlos Adames fight, Tim Tszyu, and others as well. Again, just go to playundisputed.com. All right, break over. I was in South Africa for a few days. I feel energized. I feel refreshed. I've got so much content coming your way. Me and Gman are filming today. I'm filming this at 10:15 in the morning. Me and Gman are meeting up a bit later to look back on the Canelo Crawford fight. Yes, it happened a week and a half ago or so, but there's still so much to talk about. So much to talk about. And one of the things that I think has come out of the Crawford performance is that everyone, for some reason, is now doing their Mount Rushmore of fights. Look, there's never a bad time to do it, right? And I've been seeing some are interesting. I don't think there is a wrong Mount Rushmore. For me, there's one person that has to be on every single Mount Rushmore. I'll get to that person in a second, but I don't think there's any wrong answers here. I mean, there are far too many good boxers in the history of this sport for everyone to have the same four. Like, it's what you like. It's what you grew up with. So your age, I guess, is going to be a big factor in this. But yeah, I thought, let me give you my four. It's funny, I don't even have the fourth boxer yet. The fourth boxer is going to come to me during this video. I have my three that are bankers, and four, I've got like 5 or 6 fighters in my head. So I have no idea. But get your four below. I'm so intrigued as to what is going to be your Mount Rushmore. I'm going to do a British Mount Rushmore as well. So I'll just tell you now, no British fighter gets in my Mount Rushmore of all fighters. There were a few that I was like, like Prince Nassim Hamed, for example. I love him. But he wouldn't get in my Mount Rushmore. Probably get in my British Mount Rushmore. Also, guys, very quickly, I have a newsletter, which I think is the greatest newsletter ever created. My guy Phil has done it. The link to the newsletter is in the description. So much content we chuck at the newsletter. I do a WhatsApp thing on the newsletter as well, where I send out voice notes and stuff, which I think you guys might like. We always talk on the newsletter about what I'm doing next, where I am next, etc., etc. But there's more than that. So yeah, look, check it out. I'm sure you like it. Nearly 2,000 people have signed up to it, and they all seem to like it. Clearly and obviously it's free, but the link to the newsletter is in the description. And finally, everything we do on this channel is available as a podcast. It'll be under my name, Ade Oladipo. So if you're one of those people that prefer to listen to things as opposed to watching things, that might be for you as well. All right, first name on the Mount Rushmore. And for me, I'm sorry, this should be the name that every single person that does this list has. Muhammad Ali. Like, how can you have a Mount Rushmore and not have Muhammad Ali? For me, it just doesn't make any sense. And I was thinking about this as I was driving to my flat to do this. I was thinking, there's this always, like, okay, Crawford Canelo is a great example. There's always this debate of, okay, but when did you beat them? Okay, yeah, you got the Canelo victory, but was Canelo at his peak? Like, was you fighting, and this is no slight on Crawford, this is just me giving an example to kind of hype up my Ali pick. Was you fighting Canelo? Would you have beaten Golovkin Canelo? Would you have beaten that guy? Who knows? Who knows? You cannot argue that Muhammad Ali didn't fight people when they were at their absolute fucking peak. And that's why, for me, he has to go on there unequivocally number one on my Mount Rushmore. Number one. When you think about it, like, you think of the people that he fought at their peak. So Joe Frazier at his absolute peak of his power was Joe. No excuse. Like, no, Joe was done. No. Peak Joe. Peak George Foreman. Peak Ken Norton. Peak Cleveland Williams. Peak Ernie Shavers. Who else? Peak Larry Holmes. You know, and those names I just mentioned, by the way, if someone wants to do a top 20 heavyweight list, they could all probably get in. Do you know how crazy that is? Sonny Liston, who wasn't at his peak, but he certainly wasn't done. But these are legit. And if you were to do a top 10 heavyweight list, you would have Joe Frazier in it. You would have George Foreman in it. Like, these are, like, there's no argument. You would have Larry Holmes in it. Do you know what I mean? These are people he fought. Like, an underdog in a few fights as well, people. It was underdog in the first Sonny Liston fight. Underdog. It was certainly underdog in the George Foreman fight. Like, unequivocally, Muhammad Ali is a Mount Rushmore fighter. For me, he's the greatest of all time. I know some people say Sugar Ray Robinson. Some people say Archie Moore. Muhammad Ali fought Archie Moore, by the way, as well, beat him. Although Archie Moore, light heavyweight, really, one of the best light heavyweights of all time. So I didn't even mention Archie Moore. Sorry, 1 second. Let me get, like, the names he's fought. I've just missed out some. Jimmy Ellis. I've missed out people that he fought. Joe Bugner. No scrub. George Chavallo. Henry Cooper. Like, it's just ridiculous. Floyd Patterson. But I didn't want to mention Patterson because Patterson wasn't in his peak. Like, come on, Muhammad Ali, without a doubt. Don't argue with me. Don't fucking argue with me. All right, number 2. Like, if you're around my age, I'm 44, and this guy isn't in your Mount Rushmore, then I don't know what to tell you. Iron Mike Tyson has to be in your fucking Mount Rushmore. I'm getting so excited doing this. Like, and by the way, this isn't me saying Mike's, like, you know, I've got old enough now. There was a time when, you know, everyone was like, Mike's the greatest heavyweight of all time. Now, I'm old enough to know that Mike wasn't the greatest heavyweight of all time, right? But I would always, in the back of my head, say, if Mike just, like, just focused. Like, if Mike didn't have all the distractions that he had, fucking the girls, the drugs, the partying, the what could have been with Mike is the biggest question in boxing. It's the biggest question in boxing, right? But Mike Tyson, like, I don't know how many, there can't be a bigger, dude, I was about to say something reckless there, but I might even be right. There can't be a bigger sports person ever that has had so many people engaged in what they do than Mike Tyson. Like, Mike Tyson is just, like, Muhammad Ali. You know, I was thinking about this. You know, like, when you think, can you just take a random photo to anywhere in the world and say, do you know who that person is? And I think you could take a picture of Mike and Muhammad Ali to anywhere on earth, and that's Mike Tyson. That's Muhammad Ali. There's some people that are just like that. I think Jordan's probably like that as well. There aren't that many, but Mike is most certainly that. And again, if you are an 80s baby like me and you like boxing, I'm sorry, Mike has to be in your Mount Rushmore. Again, this isn't necessarily for achievements. Well, although the youngest heavyweight of all time, that's some achievement, right? But just who Mike was, the aura, the enigma. Mike fucking Tyson, man. All right. Those two are my bankers. I won't have any argument. Again, argue with yourself. Number 3, Money Mayweather. I'm sorry. He's a genius. He is a fucking, you know, when I get bored with today's crop of boxers, and Terence, to be fair, has kind of helped me out of my boredom. But sometimes I just go on YouTube and I watch the 24/7s. And then I watch the fight. I'm not joking. I watch the whole fucking episodes and then I watch the fight. And my guy is a genius. A genius. There will always be an argument, oh, you should have fought that person then. And I get it. Right? It's kind of the argument you can't throw at Muhammad Ali, right? You could throw that argument at Floyd. But dude, unbeaten is unbeaten. Unbeaten is unbeaten. Multi-weight world champion is multi-weight world champion. Do you know what I mean? I've never seen a boxer so like, I'm going to work you out, and then when I work you out, you're done. Shall I repeat that? I'm going to work you out, and when I work you out, you're done. And Floyd had this thing where first 2 rounds, you think, oh, shit, man, this guy's in this fight, and then he works you out. Floyd, Pretty Boy Floyd was better than Money, but Money Floyd had, obviously, the fights, right? In terms of the fights that brought all the eyeballs onto him, Oscar De La Hoya fights. You know what I mean? That Pretty Boy Floyd, obviously, Diego Corrales is probably the best performance really from Pretty Boy Floyd, right? Corrales, I think, was unbeaten at the time, and look what he did to him. But Money Floyd brought the eyeballs on. That's when he started being controversial. Genius outside the ring in terms of marketing, genius inside the ring in terms of defensively, offensively as well. People don't give him as much credit offensively. Offensively, Floyd could put up, when Floyd wanted to hurt you, you're staying hurt, you know? You're staying hurt. But look, I love Floyd. I can understand how some people don't have him on the Mount Rushmore, I get it. But I think there's a generation of fighters that Floyd has built, good or bad. And I think if you were to ask 90% of the young fighters now in America, your guy to look up to, I think they'd all say Floyd. Like Floyd just, for me, was a genius. Came right off the coattails of social media and knew how to work it. It's just perfect. All right, number 4. God, this is so hard. Number 4 is so hard. I'm trying to think. Number 4 might shock you, yeah? I mean, and look, there's so many. There's so many. Like now, Alexander Usyk, for example. I'm the biggest fan of Gennady Golovkin. I love Vasily Lomachenko, but he doesn't have the, he missed out on a few big wins, didn't he? Sugar Ray Leonard, Marvin Hagler, Tommy Hearns, Roberto Duran, Julio Cesar Chavez, there's Oscar De La Hoya. There are so many. Carlos Monzon, there's so many I could pick. Bernard Hopkins, the alien, the executioner, whichever version you want. I'm sorry. You know what it is about Bernard Hopkins that I love? And by the way, I see Bernard quite a lot. And we chat, and Bernard can chat, fucking hell. Like when you see Bernard come in, you're like, here we go, this could be a long conversation, but he gives you that, right? Bernard's dedication to the sport, I'm sorry, it has to be looked at. And the thing about Bernard as well, I'm not just picking Bernard let me just pick Bernard. Bernard, one of the greatest middleweights of all. Like Bernard is a top 4, maybe higher, greatest middleweight of all time. Of all time. Honestly, before he got beat by Jermaine Taylor, I was like, oh, Bernard could be the greatest. If when he had those fights with Jermaine Taylor, even though a few of them were, one of them was a bit, I said, if he comes through Jermaine Taylor, it's him and Marvin Hagler for me. That's where I had Bernard. But because he didn't, I can understand why it's a top 4 discussion. Like, Bernard's dedication to the sport of boxing needs to be studied. Honestly, hence why he went from the executioner to the alien, because it almost turned into a case of, okay, you're an alien. But go down Bernard's resume. Hit list, brother. Bernard's resume. Hit list. Bernard just... I always go back to the Antonio Tarver fight, yeah? Because I remember it like it was yesterday. I remember it because Bernard, in his 40s, and it was almost a case of I was going to try this double jump, and it was almost a farewell fight. I remember the narrative around it. You saw what he did. Kelly Pavlik fight. Kelly Pavlik was going to beat him up. Bust him up. Saw what he did. Like, he's like, and Bernard always says, look, I wasn't the best boxer. The first fight with Roy Jones, I wasn't the best. He always admitted that. But he learned his trade. He dedicated himself to the sport of boxing, and he maximized everything. Everything. Would fight anybody. Win or lose, will fight anybody. Like, there's no... there's some people like, oh yeah, pick and choose. Bernard would fight anybody, anytime. Anybody, anytime. So yeah, that's my Mount Rushmore. So Muhammad Ali, banker. Mike, banker. You can argue with Floyd and Bernard, but you can understand the reasons for both. So those are my 4 Mount Rushmore. Peace and love.
Champions are not born. They're forged. This is about turning the ordinary into undisputed. Available now. Ade Gman, brought to you by Undisputed.